I'm here in Roy's Sheephead Cycle in Brooklyn, and in this video, we're going to be talking about how to find your saddle setback. This is following up from the how to find your saddle height video that went down pretty well with you guys. I'm here with my friend and business partner, Tim Doherty from Fit First Solutions.
I love fitting bikes. I've been enjoying cycling my whole life and working in professional biomechanics for over 3 decades. We're going to cover some basic things that you can see and you'll feel if you make these adjustments to improve your cycling fun. I'm looking to get the athlete into a place of stability and comfort so they can perform with a good balance of using the quadriceps as well as the hamstrings, the glutes, and the calves to deliver a controlled push. So I call it the pelvic pocket, where we get it to a place where they kind of fall into, where the feet perform more natural, relaxed movement that allows someone to use more muscular tension slash flex unconsciously. And when we get it back to the right saddle setback, it lets the pelvis drop into a neutral place, similar to where we would go unconsciously if we were going to pick up a large rock or boulder off the ground. So our foundation of stability is with the pelvis, and we're looking to get the seat setback correct, matched with the seat height, but mostly the setback controls the center of mass, lets us drop into what I call the pelvic pocket.
Okay, and then this pelvic pocket for me would be when I'm sitting on the bike, you know, I'm warmed up, I'm feeling good. I almost find a place where I can just let my pelvis be supported on the waist of the saddle in that just right spot, and I'm leaning forward comfortably, and I feel like I'm pushing from glutes, hamstrings, quads, everything just feels like it's perfectly engaged with my foot against the pedal. And it's like that kind of seamless, my feet aren't in my way, my saddle's not in my way, my upper body's not in my way. Everything's just 100% good feelings, smacking the watts out on the pedals.
Yes, and you may see here today, it's not the same with everyone. Dougie's position in space or his saddle setback coming into the right place is different than mine, due to how he functions and where his body wants to be in space. At the foundation of this, we're looking to incorporate human movement, which is pushing, being able to breathe, and being able to look around and move. We want somewhere relaxed, stable, comfortable, and neutral for the athlete.
Viewers at home, the first thing that they're wanting to do, obviously once they've got their saddle choice and height correct, effectively what they really need to understand is, like, from a basic level, how flexible are they and what happens to their pelvis when they start to lean forward with their bum going back into almost this like hip hinge. You know, can you hip hinge? Are you even aware of what that would feel like? It's a good starting point without kicking too much from the back. Or doing the opposite, which we see a lot of in fit, which is I'm not comfortable at all on this saddle, so I'm going to roll my pelvis forward and kind of like upper body myself to the handlebars.
Like a question mark.
Question mark pose. It's like a yoga pose, but it's just not comfortable or good for you.
So if the pelvis is rolling posterior and we're kind of tucking under, this limits our availability to breathe. This causes us less pelvic stability and puts more weight on the upper body. It throws off a lot of things. I try and get people to a place that's a little kids bike-ish. We go a little too low so we can feel that, and we can establish feelings of where they have been, which it just may be this place they're familiar with. And then we drop down the seat to change the weight distribution. Then we're gonna come up with it into a place where it's stable, and then we're gonna work with fore and aft. And as we work with fore and aft, or saddle setback, we can start to fall into that pelvic pocket where they can feel the comfort and they can co-align the movement and the feelings of pedaling, which we'll talk about off the bike so we know what to feel before we go there. So off the bike, I want you to drop into something that I call the golf putter. So we're gonna go down into a comfortable stance with, and we don't wanna use cycling shoes. We can use walking shoes because they're flexible, but not cycling shoes. We can also go bare feet. Come down into a golf putter type position. Belly button is facing the end of the invisible club, just like so. Bend our knees a little bit. We push down into the arches of our feet, and we lift up on the big toe. As we do that lift of the big toe and push down into the arches of our feet, you should be able to feel some tension there, Dougie, on the inner calf. You feel that?
Yeah, a little.
Nice, that little bit of tension, that's what we're looking for. Lift up on that toe, and we'll feel the tension on the inner calf. We'll feel the tension on the hamstrings and the glutes, and we can already feel the quads. This is gonna help us pattern our push so we know what to feel later on. We're gonna try and duplicate this feeling on the bike by lifting up the toe and pushing through the arch to start our pedal stroke, our power phase. Once we feel the calf turned on later when we're pedaling, we're gonna let go of the toe lift. We're just gonna keep the calf lightly turned on as we push, and that's gonna build the feelings of using a lot more than just the quadriceps.
Yep.
And then we'll balance off the seat fore aft for a nice comfortable balance of stability and being able to flex as we push into the pelvic pocket. Weight distribution through the foot is also related to where the cleats are placed, because that will force you to work more to stabilize the foot versus deliver a push through the whole foot. So if the cleats are rather far forward towards the toe of the shoe, we're going to limit the stability of the foot to feel that postural chain flex of the calf and the hamstring. So we want the shoes to fit.
Yeah.
We want the feet to feel. We want the cleats to be in the right place. That seat, we want it to start out somewhere close to level. We never want to go way nose up or way nose down because we'll lack that stability to feel. And the stability of our undercarriage, we're looking to feel some support from the front of us on the pubic rami, as well as through the entire seated region onto our sit bones too.
In terms of how I would then talk this through with clients in a bike fit. So you see this waist of the saddle here. So that's this kind of bit of the saddle that goes between the narrowest part where the nose is to this is too far back and too wide to support. Now this part of the saddle here, this waist, is where you want the bony tissue either side the top of your legs, effectively immediately behind the soft tissue. You want that part in there to feel like it can load along this part of the saddle here. So your pelvis is relaxed here, you're rolling forward comfortably. And really that for me is how I would describe the waist of the saddle and the feeling of support at the front, either side the top of your legs as you lean forward. You want the saddle here, and if it's pointing up too much, it's gonna be putting too much pressure on soft tissue. Pointing down, it's gonna encourage you to compensate and stabilize by rolling back and pushing forwards.
If the seat angle is incorrect, whether it's too high or too far back, we will see the compensation with the pelvis of the athlete rolling rearward with the pelvis. When the seat angle is neutral and supportive, they'll fall into that posture that I was mentioning earlier, similar to if they're picking up a large object from between their legs.
Yeah, for you guys, if it's not clear already by now, what we're effectively using saddle setback for, in essence, to manipulate the tension, if you like, and the engagement of the muscles around the full pelvis when you're pushing down.
Oh yeah, and on the other side of that, as we come up from the waist, it's going to impact the lumbar, the thoracic spine, the cervical spine. All the way up the chain, we'll see changes of posture that allow someone to breathe, push, be stable, or lack thereof with all of that if we have the wrong setback.
So when it comes to saddle setback, one of the things that becomes the most influential really is the foot position and how the angle of your foot influences what your pelvis wants to do in space on a saddle, and how that might impact saddle fore aft becomes kind of a relevant part of this conversation. So in this case, Angel has his Rafa shoes on, which are one width, and his feet are completely different width, I would be safe to assume. First thing first, we've got a toe that's maybe lower than it should be, an ankle higher than it should be, no control over what the foot angle is doing, and therefore this kind of rolled back posture that you see here is happening over the top of the pedal stroke. There's extra bouncing, and that's working its way into the upper body. Now, without going too far down the rabbit hole of the foot, it does show very clearly where you could feel, oh, I'm not quite planted on this saddle, I might want to move it back and forward to play around with that. But the problem is not the saddle setback at all, it's the shoe. Angel, would you kindly jump off the bike, fire these straight on?
Okay. So what's happened is we haven't changed anything with the fit. We've just changed the athlete's connection between their feet and brain by using a shoe that fits the athlete correctly and a custom insole to let him feel what's going on so he can push using his entire foot.
Yeah.
His foot angle has gone flatter, which makes the knee more open and also opens up the hip. It stops the pelvic rotational movement or the hip vertical oscillation. It limits the torsion. It pulls him into neutral. As he pushes through the feet differently, he's engaging more of the postural chain. And we can see this in a couple ways. We can see the foot is lower. I can see this is more open. There's less movement through the thoracic spine. And now the hips are moving very similarly left to right versus one pushing back further as it was doing before. So we're stating that with the right shoe and insole for the feet, it changes the support structure and the delivery of power, impacting the seat setback in a positive way.
And Angel, okay, could you kindly place your feet on top of the Rafa insoles? And then what we can see just looking down from the top, a couple of things. Firstly, if you just put your finger at the end of your big toe, you can see that there's very little space at the front of those other shoes for your foot to begin with. So there's already this compression that's going to stop the toe from extending. The fifth met is fully off the side of the insole, which means there's nowhere near enough width. And then these master fit insoles, so if you put your feet on top of them, just straight away there's a visual.
One important thing, when we do not support the fifth metatarsal head, it limits the posterior chain activation. So basically what I'm saying is it'll make his quadriceps work much harder, and his hamstring and glutes won't feel the activation to turn on to push. So having an insole that's the correct width and length makes such a difference to activate the muscles on the push and give us more stability from the feet to reinforce the stability of the pelvis.
If there's no support on the fifth met, how does that limit posterior chain activation?
What happens then is the foot is being squeezed laterally together like such, and it limits the medial arch feedback from the foot to the brain. It'll make the toe point.
Yeah.
Where if the foot is relaxed and the support is correct across the bottom, one has a much higher chance at a better pedal stroke and more comfort, awareness, and muscular usage. So when you squeeze the foot or do not provide enough support to the foot, it turns down the feedback from the body to the brain and limits our ability to push and control the movement all the way up the chain.
What would be your response to someone that asks you, oh, maybe he bought the wrong size shoes and maybe he just needs a bigger shoe?
Well, the lengths and widths of the shoes are different between manufacturers, and a lot of cycling shoe companies, they make one width, sometimes they make two, but the width of the shoe needs to be correct. Even if I wear 43, I bought a 43. Well, all 43s may not be the same. So removing the insole from the shoe and standing on it will help you feel what to do and what is correct, because we can visualize the shape of the foot and the shape of the shoe by looking at the insole.
It's custom to my foot. I said you just feel it's comfortable.
The insole, yeah, really connects the brain and the body,
Right.
besides having the correct shoe shape.
That's what I forgot.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, I was like, there's a specific reason why.
So it's two parts. It's the shape of the shoe and having the correct width and length of the shoe, and then the secondary part is having, this is a custom insole we've made for Angel that is the exact contour of his foot, and each one is specific towards each foot. They're perfect as they're his shape. So this lights up the connection between the brain and the body even more. So I want you to just start rolling like before. We're gonna think about turning on the calf tension, so we're gonna effectively do that golf putter a little. We're gonna lift up on the big toe to help feel the calf tension. Let go of the big toe lift, because the calf is engaged. And we can see the feet are moving at a stable angle. We don't have a lot of ankling through the pedal stroke here. Very smooth. Also like to point out that his shoes are not on extremely tight or extremely loose. They're somewhere in the middle. The shoe is the correct size so he can feel his toes. The custom footbeds are helping him feel his feet, so we know his feet are stable. He's in what I call the pelvic pocket because the upper body can move freely. We can bring our hands all the way into our shifters. Elbows should be able to still move freely. We don't see a lot of rounding at the spine, at the thoracic spine. The hips are rather smooth. There's a little bit of movement, but it's the same on both sides. And there's not much of a turn or a twist. He's in the pelvic pocket right now where there's not a lot of pressure from the seat to him. He can reach the bottom of his push stroke. We can see the flex or the compression of the muscle, and he can look around, front, left, right, everywhere. So this is a nice, strong place and relaxed place to pedal from. Let's come to a stop for a moment. We're gonna move him out of what I call the pelvic pocket, and let's see how this goes.
The myth that we're busting right now is a saddle tilted nose down definitely does not help you in a good way to roll forward. Pelvic pocket, we're out of it now. The first thing that I don't like that I'm seeing is this doesn't look anywhere near as relaxed as it looked a minute ago. So straight away there's this kind of like, oh, I'm seeing your pelvis. It's not quite as square on the saddle as it was earlier.
His left hip is jumping up
Yeah.
and back. His foot is not as smooth. His tricep is turned on. He's doing what I call blocking and locking off the seat to stabilize his pelvis, whether it's a conscious decision or not. So this lacks stability due to his pelvis having to work to stay stable and also to deliver power through the push. You can't get them both at the same time, which is why we need passive stability with the pelvis as we fall into the pelvic pocket versus where we are here, where he has to actively work to stabilize this. And you picked it up immediately, Dougie. You see the hip jumping all over a lot more. My hand, he's moving my hand is not moving him. The angle of the foot is steeper. What are you feeling here, athlete?
Sliding on the seat, back and forth.
Constantly feeling like you want to push yourself back on the seat.
Right. And every time you do, you end up moving forward.
Yeah. So when this is like a sign straight away that saddle setback's not right, is this kind of, I'm creeping forward on the seat, I need to reset, I need to reset. A little bit of this, if you think, instability over the top of the pedal stroke being caused by the saddle being so far back here, this leg's coming up over, it's jumping around.
It's too tight. It's
Exactly.
too tight.
And gravity's not your friend when it comes to instability and pointing forwards, so it's going to pull you. So yeah, this is the thing. Right now, the saddle is not working for us in terms of its forehand position. So pressure on the hands is what you're feeling, jumping around, and stop pedaling. Pedal backwards for me.
There's the lack of stability with the foot. Okay, all right, let's go forward again.
Before your gears self-destruct.
Yeah.
Got a working theory that the saddle needs to be further forward because you feel like you're slipping forward. Instability over the top, you're overworking this pressure. So let's move it forward and feel, but right now let's go too far forward and look at that as well.
We're gonna leave the angle in the not so good place for now.
Yeah,
Right.
So when the saddle's too far
All set.
forward, I'm feeling really extreme pressure here. Look at that kind of, your neck's disappeared all of a sudden.
The movement of the pelvis is not great right now. It's not as stable as we want, mostly because his center of mass is forward. He's out of that pelvic pocket again. So before we were too far back, now it's too far forward. What are you feeling here versus the other position, Angel?
It's not comfortable. I feel like I'm working harder. I'm trying to figure out my feet. My feet are not going.
So what you're describing is that sensation of constantly feeling like you want to try and fix the angle of your feet in a certain way,
Exactly.
rather than just relaxing and just pushing through them without
just-
feeling like they're in your way.
Before I was just spinning. There's no, you don't have to think about it.
And
Now, your focus looking down, okay, are they going the right way? Is the right angle?
I see a lot of knee chopping, which is our athlete pedaling more like this versus keeping everything in line.
so everything's being pushed forwards and open.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is also asking our athlete to turn on our hip flexor / psoas, things in the front of us, loading up more pressure on the front of the seat to find somewhere to sit. Not ideal, folks.
And I think it's important to say the foot position changing here is a direct reflection of the pelvic position not being happy. The pelvis isn't happy, the feet can't connect, so it's like all of a sudden we're kind of forward on one side compared to the other, and my feet don't feel good. It doesn't feel like the same push left or right.
This is all from being out of the pelvic pocket. We have the seat height dialed in and the handlebar. The shoes and the feet, they have ideal interfaces. So we've isolated this to being out of the pelvic pocket and having the seat setback incorrect and the seat angle incorrect. Let's go to where it's best right now. Let's go to the correct placement of the seat.
Okay, so things that I'm liking straight away would be the pelvis is fallen in. You're way more neutral in your spine. I can see your neck all of a sudden. There's still maybe a little bit of excessive arm lockout, and this is coming due to the saddle still pointing down. But yeah, let's talk through what's improved here and why.
I like things a little better, but not a lot. So
Okay.
there's a little less movement here, but we can see our athlete is still blocking and locking to stabilize the sacrum. So I believe that we have an unconscious angle we choose for our lower back / sacrum, and a place here that is reinforced by where we choose to put our hands. So he's pushing off the hand to try and stabilize the pelvis, because the stability of the seat is not working for our athlete here, even though the placement of height and fore and aft are correct. So we're getting closer, but still I see too much movement in the pelvis and the thoracic spine, and I see the tricep working harder, and the arm is straighter. He's blocking off the hands.
Level off the seat, let's have a look.
Thank you. You know what I'm picking up, guys? I'm seeing his calves turn on,
Yeah.
and his hamstring, and his foot is at a lower angle. He's starting to push earlier in the pedal stroke, and he's pushing through it much later. He's using more of that window of opportunity to generate force, as he has a lot more control up front and a lot less movement at the pelvis and the spine.
Earlier on, when Tim had his hand, it was probably the worst when the saddle was so far back and pointing down. It was just this kind of like constant movement, whereas there you can like
The whole
relax.
line is really quiet.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movement going on here at all. So we have found what we call the pelvic pocket. He's in it. His feet look better, his legs work better, his upper body is working better. Life looks great here so far.
You can tell the watts, it's higher and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can tell that there's a big difference.
Just because the activation, if you like, of the hamstrings, glutes, and quads all simultaneously actuating, if you like, against the foot and it's that push, you can relax and it's all working.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I'm just on my tiptoes and my quads and why are my knees hurting so bad?
Let's take this even deeper.
Yeah.
What we're, I think, going towards is the pelvis is being supported now, but it's not being pushed on.
Yeah.
His feet can handle more of his weight and control, which has relaxed the pelvic floor, so both diaphragms can be used to a greater extent to breathe.
So in terms of saddle setback, just to kind of summarize in full, what we're looking at when it comes to working out the saddle fore aft position is a lot to do with pelvic stability, and how you can find it is experiment by listening into the sensations of your body. If you're feeling unstable on the saddle, is it level? You need to get that stability in the saddle there as a fundamental before you can work out the right fore aft position. And then when it comes to assessing your own feelings, can you breathe comfortably? Can you relax and drop your shoulders? Do you feel like your neck's craning? All of these things are influenced by what the saddle's doing in a fore aft position.
So catch your feelings off the bike by working through that golf putter position, evaluating if your shoes are the correct shape and size for your feet, and then bring that pattern of push through the golf putter position onto the bike to help you find how you should feel with the push to stabilize the feet, to stabilize the pelvis, and then work through your seat fore aft positions, being able to hold that muscular contraction and take it from there.
Thanks very much for watching this video. Again, please like, share, subscribe, all of the above. Really, the biggest thing is if you keep asking questions, I'm gonna get the best possible videos for you guys, my audience, to make sure that I'm answering your questions and giving you content that keeps you coming back. And if you want to work with us, either online or in person, click the link below. There's plenty of information about how to work with me. And if you're in New York area, Tim, there is no one better than this guy right here for a bike fit setup. And again, thanks very much to Roy Sheephead Cycles here in Brooklyn for taking care of us and giving us space to work in today. And Angel for his time and his amazing bike and doodle art on his cycling shoes, customized.
Very sharp.
Thanks again for watching. Hopefully see you next week.